That's part of what we're trying to do. We're trying to support each other, make connections, strategic alliances, and like Javier just said, and then I'm so glad, because that's the perfect segue to our next question. We have 4 representatives here who are in the tax industry. Maybe you're wondering, why? ¿Por qué van a poner ahí a cuatro personas competencia, verdad? De pronto dicen, pero ¿por qué lo estamos haciendo? Entonces, I want to give the opportunity to each one of our panelists to talk about, who do you represent, right? What kind of clients do you represent? Who are you looking for? Who should call you? And at the same time, if you're here, si estás aquí, and you have specific questions that you want to see answered today, please drop them on the chat. I will do my best to cover them and try to incorporate them into our conversation. But we want to make sure that you get something from today. That's what we value, your time, we value you being here. We want to make sure that we honor that. So put your questions on the chat and I will try to incorporate them. So on the order that I see you guys here on my screen, Yoscaisa, let's start with you. Who's that client that should call you? Who are you looking for to represent?
Right. I'm looking to represent clients that are starting out a business. Of course, I think those are I call it the baby clients, the baby entrepreneur who's starting up their company and needs legal advice. Should I become a LLC? Should I become an S corporation? I have a partnership. I need an operating agreement. That client, right? Because as my colleague said right off the bat, we can structure their business and have them be in compliance with everything and think of things, right, that they're not thinking about. But I also represent clients who are already in audit proceedings with the IRS that are being, audited for, arrears tax years. I also represent clients that are in fraud, criminal tax cases. My firm has also just regular bookkeeping services. I am one of those few attorneys that does dabble in tax preparation, just because I started my business in tax preparation before I was even an attorney. That's how and funny story about that, which I could share later, but how I even enter into the tax business, I stumbled because a lot of my colleagues ask me, how did you end up in tax? A lot of attorneys, even attorneys don't like tax, but I do, I love it. And the clients that I serve are those that are, they want to do things right. They probably haven't been so organized. And I think, as a business entrepreneur, as a Latina business entrepreneur, I identify with those tax payers that, don't know really the intricacies of running a business, right? I want to be a truck driver. That's really what I'm good at. I want to go drive trucks, buy trucks or whatever, right? Or I want to be a hairdresser. I want to fix hair. I'm not really sure how to, all of this about forming a business and keeping my business in compliance. I'm not good at that. You handle that. And I have clients from all arrays of professions, a lot of Latinos and minorities, Africans, you name it. And I think my type of clients are those clients that want to learn the system. They want to have a little guidance or a lot of guidance. And they also want me to hold their hand and walk them as they do their entrepreneur journey. So those are my clients.
Thank you, Alejandro. You're next on my screen. Who should call you?
Well, we like to, same as our previous colleague, we like to work with new businesses, especially they're starting out. Businesses, they're putting their financial assets into a new structure. Someone that wants to follow compliance. The first thing I tell my clients, information, compliance, peace of mind, and with consistent long-term, you see the growth. We also like to work, and most of our clients who are in the collection side of the IRS, we stopped handling a lot of the audit process because we're more in the collection side. So we're looking for some strategic partnership with auditors to handle that for our clients. But that is typically our client. We get a lot of our accountants who don't specialize in this resolution side are also our clients. So technically that's the area. Again, a lot of the information that when we sit down with a new client is that they do not understand their rights. They don't understand what their other solutions are. So the first process for us is to inform them give them a few avenues where they can lead their business and make it grow. We do personal taxes. I think it's great for me because I get to see my clients once a year, and sometimes I want to see them multiple times. And as I said earlier, we're accountants, and at the same time, we're little therapists talking about everything else regarding which is great. You start building these long-term relationships. I have clients that are been with me for 20 years. I have some clients right now that I see in seminar, and I want to say hello to all of those who I see. So it's great to see them and participate. And I'm trying to build those alliances with other CPAs, EAs. And you mentioned something, why you have 4. To be honest, we should have at least 20 reputable accounting firms and EAs and CPAs servicing our community, because we do have a high demand. And I also like to train tax preparers to get them their EA and see the tax resolution aspects, because that's where the bread and water is in the accounting services. The income potential in this area is high, and also the peace of mind that you give your clients. So we welcome all types of clients. If you're looking to cook your books, we're not for you. We're not for you. If you're looking to get outside the norm, we're not interested. Because there's a way you can reach the end goal with the proper procedures. You end up getting the right path if we can teach you how to take those steps. So a lot of our clients take those steps, and now we see successful clients. And one of our clients right here, who's here, they have 40 plus or 50 plus employees growing nationally, and we're very happy to be part of that development of our clients.
Thank you for saying that, because we are afraid of competition, and what we say is I say partnership over competition. It's good to know who's out there, because that's how we can help and protect our community, right? To point them to those professionals who we know are doing exactly what you just said, guiding them in the right way, and we can support each other, and that's how we grow. I have Javier next here on my screen. So Javier, what kind of businesses are you better suited to help?
At this point, I mean, any assistance that I could give you guys in terms of the Maryland government, I have a direct connection through the board. There is a lot of, I'll say, regulations that are not really helping us as tax professionals, and we don't hear much from our community. Okay, they are always the same people that come to our meetings. And it'll be good if the rest get involved, or at least let us know what are the needs that we need to implement in Maryland with not only tax professionals, but also taxpayers. Okay, I personally don't see the need to have all these regulations when taxpayers are also the ones that are going after these professionals that are not registered. Okay, so there has to be a huge educational campaign to our Latino community to really go to the tax practitioners that are registered and approved by the state of Maryland. We do have the list. We have also the complaint form when tax payers don't receive the proper service from these professionals, especially for the ones that don't sign the 1040, and that has been the biggest issue. As part of the franchise, we do have a huge business department that helps all our small Hispanic businesses with any papers that they need, and it's been growing because our accountants are not only in DC or Maryland. We have them in New York, they are in Las Vegas, they are all over the place, that anybody that would want to see face-to-face a professional, they'll be able to do it. Okay, so anything that you guys will need in that sense to direct them in other states, we will be able to do so. And the last thing that I will say is that as a franchise, we not only focus on training the tax practitioners, because all our educational requirements, it's a requirement. Okay, so they need to take these courses. They need to have the certification. If they don't, they will get these fines from the franchise because they are providing a service without being certified to do so. Okay, despite of having the state not requiring these certifications, we still require as a franchise. But more than that, we focus on developing the entrepreneurial side of the tax practitioner. Okay, we believe in not only staying in your computer doing what you do best, but bringing those skills to a management level where you can supervise what they do. Because I've seen a lot of tax preparers that it's 65 years old, 70 years old, they still preparing taxes, okay? And by the time that they want to retire and they want to sell that book of business, buying a practice like that is not easy because clients are used to that person, they are used to that service. And we've seen every time there is a transaction of sale for a tax office, 80% of the clients leave, okay? So it's not something that you could eventually say, I'm gonna build my practice and I'm gonna sell it. It's not, it doesn't work like that because you are the practice. But if you are the manager and the administrator of that practice, then you will be in a position to say, you know what, I have this office and it's not only this office, I have 20 more offices that I'm reviewing, everybody's giving me something as an income, and then I can sell this book of business. But unfortunately, we don't have that mindset yet in our Latino community, and that's what we are trying to do with our franchises.
Fantastic. Mariela, last but not least, tell us, you know, who's that client? Who's the right client that should call you? And you're on mute.
Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry. Thank you. If you need a review financial statement, our firm can do that. We basically represent clients, again, as I mentioned before, for tax resolution. We do basically, we do have, if businesses planning to expand or also acquiring a new commercial property, we do have a consultant, basically team that help us, that can help anyone to basically acquire that commercial property from preparing the loan package to be presented to the bank, and also to basically identifying the property to make sure that that property that you would like to buy is what you really, it would be income producing. So we help clients too with, again, if there is any fraud or any split in partners, we make sure that everything is in place when it comes to the separation. And our firm, again, we prepare tax returns. We are an accounting firm. Basically, we run accounting services from new businesses to existing businesses. We have medium and large. We represent medium, large companies as well.
Thank you. So we've heard about, you know, businesses and starting businesses. And I know some of the questions our businesses sometimes have is, okay, LLC, S corporation, C corporation, how do I decide? And when it's time to file my taxes, right? Like I've established my company, do I need to do it under my business? Is my corporation the way it is? What are the pros and the cons of setting it up that way? And I think I heard Alejandro and Yoscaisa talk about, you know, really assisting our businesses in that. So talk to us about, you know, the pros and the cons, advantages, disadvantages of the business structures, how that affects, how that impacts tax filing, how are business owners deciding what's that, when did they make that decision, right? How do they make that decision? Who do they go for that? Is it you guys that they need to come and talk to? What are those questions? What are those answers that they should be thinking about when starting a business, or when you, I forget who said it, but I am good at this, I'm just going to start doing it on my own, right? Well, we know that there's a little more structure to that. And thank you, Javier, for elevating the fact that it needs to be structured so that it works well. And we are not always very mindful of that as Latinos. So Alejandro, I think you spoke about this. I'm gonna have you answer first, and then whoever wants to chime in, please feel free to do so.
Right. The first step is understanding what the client needs are, what their objectives, what they're trying to get. Regarding business entity structure, usually they already come from their attorney who has already established their entity. If they haven't, we have to ask them basic questions. It's a situation, sir. I've, for instance, a doctor right now who is practicing. He's 52 years old. His number one goal is defined benefit plan. He wants to put as much aside that he can for the long term. Same times will save him a lot of taxes. So he, in this particular case with his attorney, they established the corporation for him because of the defined benefit plan. There's $163,000 he wants to put aside every year, and that is his number one goal. So every entity structure or legal structure is based on what the client needs. So as professionals, we need to sit down with the client, ask them a few questions so we can properly lead them to the right path. And we also need to get involved with their attorneys to make sure that we're working regarding the same procedures. And once those entities are established, then we can help them file their taxes. What we don't recommend someone is to work as a sole proprietor because of the liability risk. There's options with the LLCs, there's corporations. And what I'm beginning to hear from people who believe that, well, by establishing an LLC or a corporation, I'm free of liabilities and I can close the business and all of a sudden I can start again and I have no debt. Well, if you're in the tax resolution side, we understand that there's some personal liabilities and some transfer liabilities that they're liable personally. So we want to make sure that we address those points to our clients. Some situations, clients just want to do a single member LLC, file as a Schedule C. They want to take care of their own taxes. They want to estimate taxes. So a lot of it has to do with what the client needs. What is the standard deduction? What is an itemized deduction? What are the things we usually lead our clients to? What is called Section 162, which technically explains to them what is a qualified business deduction. There's no set rule or no list of what is deductible. It's basically what is necessary and ordinary on that business structure that the client can take. So our goal is to educate the client in that process.
Yes, and to chime in with Alejandro, I think, yes, understanding the client and understanding what the client's objectives are, right? So I like to think of when it's setting up a new company in like two buckets, the legal side and the accounting and the operation side.
Right.
So from, wearing my attorney hat, it will be more of questions to know, what is your business? What are you trying to do? Who's in business with you? Who's funding the business? It's a lot of those kind of probing questions, as Alejandro mentioned, that will determine what legal entity is best for the client. Some clients, even those that are sole proprietor, meaning they're starting solo, there's no partners, they saved up a little bit of money and they're using that as their initial capital. They will tell you that they want to have protection. I want as much protection as possible. I don't want to, mix anything of my personal with the business. So right off the bat, that you're looking for a more formal entity, such as, even if it's an LLC, you have the choice to treat your LLC in different ways when it comes to tax. But from a legal standpoint, it does give you some liability protection as long as you follow some rules. And some of those rules are very simple. It's like commingling the funds of the business and the expenses, and surely using that business account for all necessary and ordinary business expense that are listed in Section 162. So yes, it's, making sure that your client is educated in terms of, okay, so you want a separate entity. This is what it needs to look like in the books to provide you that legal protection. In the legal world, it's called piercing the corporate veil.
Right.
So there's, I tell my clients, there's an imaginary veil between you and that entity, that company. But if you do things to mess up that protection, you're piercing that veil. You're shielding away from that protection. And so you want to make sure that your client is educated on how to do those things, that we set up the accounting side correctly so they have that protection. But there are many legal entities. You know, there's the LLC, there's the corporation, and then on the side, you know, there could be a partnership. There's limited partnership, general partnerships, such as that doctor. I don't know who was talking about a doctor earlier. There's professional limited liability partnership companies. So there's an array of companies, and that's why talking to a professional, it's helpful. And when it comes to talking to an attorney, it's helpful because then we can look at the legal side. And then that's why Javier works with an attorney who says, okay, this is what I think my client needs. Now you set up the books so my client has the wholesome protection.
So one of the questions that was sent earlier was federal taxes versus state taxes. Do I do them all at the same time? When do I pay the one? When do I pay the other? How do I pay the one? How do I verify, right, that all of it has been taken care of when I am filing my taxes? So I don't know if Javier or Mariela are the better suited for this answer, whoever wants to take it.
Yeah, I can do that. And that's a really, really good question in Maryland. Okay, it's because what we've seen right now, it's that a lot of non-registered tax professionals are preparing the federal tax only. Okay, because they are under the impression that they are being regulated by the state. And they don't understand that even if you file or you prepare the federal tax, it's still in violation of your non-registration status as a tax professional. Okay, so we really need to make sure that we cover both the federal state when they go to get those services, and each one has different laws, especially now with the COVID. We've seen that at the federal level, during COVID, we did get some credits for IT holders. Okay, that's no longer apply this year, but at the state level, it is. Okay, so there is a lot of things that have changed in terms of some credits that will be for the federal and others for the state. In New York, for example, the child care credit, it's refundable. It's a refundable credit for the state, and it's a very generous credit. People in New York will get up to $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in refunds because of this credit. Okay, but at the federal level, it's not refundable. Okay, so there is a lot of these things that change from federal to state, and people need to be aware of what those changes are, and making sure that they take advantage of all these credits available.
Let me ask you a question on that note, Javier, because you just said there are some people who are thinking that once you file federal, then that's it, you're in compliance, and they're not filing state. How does a business owner know? Is there anything that you should be looking for? Is there specific forms? Is there a way that our business owners, our community can tell that everything that needed to be filed has been filed? You
are talking about the business owner, which is not the owner of the tax office. Okay, that again, I mean, it's education. You as the owner you need to be aware of all these regulations. Unfortunately, and it's true with our community, we have great workers. We have people that make millions in all these industries, landscaping and construction, and sometimes they don't have Social Security, or they don't have a legal status in this country, and they depend on the professional. Okay, sometimes they don't have time to do research that for that professionals to see if they are supposed to have all the credentials that they need to have. The only thing is education. I mean, this is a way to do it. You guys are doing education to our community, but we need to do much more. You know, we really need to go to the TV, to the radio stations, and I guess this has to be a joint venture with everybody to educate our community. That's why, you know, I mean, I've been, and it's really hard to get support when you are the only Latino in a board. Because I know that all the resources, I want to bring it to Telemundo, to Univision, so these clients or the viewers can see y ellos puedan aprovechar todo lo que está pasando a nivel del Estado. Pero hay una resistencia. Oh my God, you know, I don't get what I really want. And sometimes I'm like, you know, and I get these messages and say, man, you got balls. Yeah, es mi comunidad y yo quiero que lo que está pasando aquí se venga a la comunidad. So I do try my best to get those resources and see if we could do a national, a statewide campaign on what needs to be done with the credentials for all these professions.
Alejandro, go ahead. I see that.
Yes,
you're
I wanted to add something. Let's talk about tax avoidance. All right, let's talk about tax avoidance. Technically, what we call planning. In most of our cases, when we're dealing with federal and state taxes, and most of our general clients, what we do is for the clients that are coming in for the first 5 years, we sit with them in the month of October. We go through their actual projections. So for the first 10 months, and we do estimate what their outcome is going to be. Technically, the bad news. If you don't do the following next 2 months, the list of planning activities that we would like your business to do, like buying new equipment, trying to strategically buying the things you need so you can legally deduct them this year so we can reduce your taxes. So that's the number one step. Analyzing, calculating what the estimated taxes are going to be, make sure the client has the cash flow to take care of those taxes or has the cash flow available to invest strategically into the business a current year. So the end result, the tax is lower. And if our client is going to owe more than $1,000, we will make sure they're already set up in doing their estimate payments for federal and state, so they don't get hit for the failure to deposit penalty. And the end of the year, when they don't have the funds available because they already used them and operate, now they get hit with failure to pay penalties and interest. So our goal as accountants is to sit down with our clients, go through the list of all their expenses, and this also opens up a few strategies that we can look at. We can go through all the expenses and say, well, you're spending a little too much on workman comp. Now, the number one thing that most we see clients paying too much of, workman compensation. And sometimes it's because they have their skilled labor, trained skilled labor, reported as unskilled labor. So we want to make sure that we can reclassify those expenses to help the bottom line. So as the goal as an accountant, and I see clients that don't come to my office anymore after 5 years because we've done that training every year. Look at the expenses. This is the opportunities for you. What are you trying to buy for the next 5 years? Let's see if we can incorporate those purchases now. There's Section 179 we can talk about. There's all this retirement planning. So the goal is to pay the lower available tax under the law, right? And if they're going to owe taxes, make sure that you have put money aside so you can pay those taxes so you don't get hit with those penalties, with those interests. It's a game technically that we're trying to do that favors our client. There's no planning that no accountant, lawyer, CPAs or EAs can do after the fact. If the client comes on April 10, I wanted you to help me lower my taxes. There's nothing I can do because you have not taken the opportunity to sit down with your accountant on the month of November and December and evaluate. Take the opportunity to talk to an accountant. You learn a lot from us. I talk to my attorney. I learn a lot from my attorney. My business coach is a great asset. My insurance group that I have has done wonderful to our clients by lowering workman comp liability. So technically, we're reclassifying costs. It's part of how we educate our clients.
Yoscaisa, go ahead.
I think to go back to your question about how do I make sure that this is being done, as Javier said, our community is being taken advantage of, quite frankly, by what is called ghost tax preparers. Those are people that are not licensed, they have no type of credentials. And like Javier mentioned, Maryland is one of those states of the union that requires tax preparers to have some type of education. And be registered and licensed. And if you Google, registered tax preparer in Maryland, you can go to the Department of Labor website and type the person's name, and it should come up there if the person is registered or not. Okay, so that's the first thing. Do your due diligence and hire a competent person to prepare your tax return for your personal or for your business side. That is the first thing. The second thing I always recommend to my clients, after you've given them your documents, you sit down, they explain everything. Most tax preparers, if they meet the threshold, they are required to e-file. Most tax preparers that are registered will e-file. And those that e-file will get automatic almost, or within 24 to 48 hours, confirmation that your tax return has been accepted, rejected, and you will know for sure. Ask for the copy of that document. It'll have a control number with, in essence, your Q with the state and with federal. You will have two, one for federal and one for state, and for your personal and your business as well. I always recommend, and you put it in a folder, you say that, I say 5 years, I honestly say for life, in a folder or digital, and that's your confirmation. If you are a personal taxpayer, I go a further step. The IRS has a website where you can create an account. It is a little tedious if you're creating a new account. Those of us who have an account from before, it was easier than now. You have to face ID and move your face left and right to try to create an account. It just have patience and do the thing. But it's a great tool, because in there you will have absolutely everything. You will have what payments your employer is depositing into your account. You would have all your tax records. You will have your account transcript where you can see your balances are due. You can make payment arrangements. Now, this is if you're filing a personal return, or if you have an LLC that you file under a Schedule C, you will be able to see it there. But those are great tools. Having that IRS account will give you insight of what's happening, and to make sure, yes, I got a confirmation. I see my tax return was filed. I can see it here. It's done. I have a zero balance, or I'm on a payment plan or whatnot. But those are the things that you would do they're just formalities that you take, and it will be great to assist you in making sure that your tax professional has met up their end of the bargain.
Thank you. Thank you for those very clear tips and things that we can take action and we can create today. One of the questions that came is, it's related to timing. And I know, Alejandro, you touched a little bit on this, right? Like, April is tax month. As a business owner, when do I need to start thinking about my taxes? Is that something that I just wait until April 1st, or should I be thinking about it year round?
As I said earlier, October is the time that we meet with our business clients, right? Sometimes our personal taxes, they want to look at how much they contribute to their 401k. They want to see how much they can set aside. Sometimes they give us a call. We do some preliminary estimates for clients to see how the end goes. So technically, sitting with your attorney, sitting with the attorney, sitting with Javier, sitting with Mariela in October and November, I think is a great advantage for you to identify where your opportunities is available. Waiting after the fact, like I said, to file your taxes, all the planning is gone. All planning is going, and unfortunately, sometimes people get in trouble by adding deductions, creating expenses, and all of a sudden they're seeing us because they're being audited. So the best approach is do it ahead of time, plan, schedule a meeting. We earn a living through that time, but you will get a lot of information coming back. So technically, my suggestion is don't wait for tax season to the year to end. Sit down with your accountant. Summer is a good time. October is a great time. And we got 4 estimate deposits. Do it 2 or 3 weeks before your next estimate deposit is due, so you can get a little more information.
Yes,
go ahead.
if you're in April, you're too late.
True.
You have a rope around your neck at that point. It's just, it's tough. No, I always say it should be an ongoing thing, right? So for those entrepreneurs who are just starting their business, at this onset of starting your business, start planning for taxes. And like Alejandro said, having quarterly meetings. I like to recommend that my clients have one meeting per month with their money. Sit down with your money, see what your money is doing.
I like that.
You know, have time. I always recommend this book to people. It's called Profit First. It's a great book that teaches you about just organization and about, especially for sole proprietors, right? We're all in business to hopefully make a profit, right? And so it's a great resource to get you organizing, thinking in buckets, right? Your profit, taxes, liabilities, you know, investments into your business and so forth. So it's a great book. It's also in Spanish, I believe. And, you know, have that meeting with your money every month. Have that meeting with your CPA, your bookkeeper, have a professional. I always think that, you know, because we don't have that education, like it's not something that it's, you know, I don't ever remember having a budget or any kind of financial meeting with my parent as a growing up, you know, and I'm a mother now and I have a meeting with my kids and I teach them about money and we do envelopes for savings. And so it's the same thing, but for your business, right? And you want to make sure that you're doing that every month and that you're setting money aside for all the things that you want to do. And really, honestly, a CPA or a tax professional, the cost of doing this is really so much cheaper than once you're in that audit, once you're in that, you know, fraud case or whatever it may be, to try to clean it up or do forensic accounting, as I like to say it, because it at that point, right, you're trying to find things that you did 2 years ago. I don't know about you guys, but I can barely remember what I did last week. So it's better to have that meeting once a month. What did I do with this money once a month? What came in? What were my expenses? What, you know, how could I have planned better? So those are the proactive things that we should be doing as business owners on a monthly basis.
Mariela, I want to go to you. Let's say that I didn't do my due diligence, right? No, por cualquier razón, no hice lo que tenía que hacer, se me pasó el tiempo, me ocupé. I mean, life happens, right?
Yeah.
And now I find myself in trouble. Maybe I get a letter, maybe, you know, I start getting phone calls. I don't know how the IRS operates. And maybe this is a good opportunity to learn, right? Will the IRS call me and say, hey, you haven't paid your taxes? Is that something that happened, right? Are they going to come knock on my door? So if I haven't done right, I have a business, I haven't, let's say for whatever reason, I have not filed my taxes or I haven't done it in the proper ways. Do I just need to go back to my country and hide, or do I just, you know, find a good dark corner somewhere and not come out? I mean, what should I do? What should I do?
No, but actually the government is very fair when it comes to negotiation with them. As long as you do what you're supposed to do and hire the right person to help you as well. You go to the person that has all the credentials and that will help you. When it comes to EAs, we do have the authority to represent clients up to a certain level. We can represent clients in appeals. So it's always find the right person to go. Again, the government is open to negotiate, and they have so many opportunities. They give you so many opportunities to basically get in compliance. As Alejandro was saying, compliance is the main thing. If you get in compliance, you have the government on your side, and make sure that basically you follow the regulations, the rules, and find the right professional to help you. Don't go to the taxpayer or the tax preparer that is just seasoned. Trying to find the right person to help you. And again, the government is there to help. That is, as a taxpayer, you have the right. You have the right to basically do better, and again, they help you a lot. They as long as you basically wanted it to be in compliance.
I know I owe them a lot of money though, and I don't have that money, right? Are they going to work with me in that way? What are because those are the fears that we have. Those are the questions that we have. But I know that it's thousands of dollars. I don't have that. They're going to take my house. They're going to take, my car. Those are the kind of questions that I know our business owners have when looking at this. Is it better to just go ahead and file bankruptcy? Alejandro, I see you have your mic open. So why don't you go ahead and help us
Right.
and answer that question. Are they going to call me? Are they going to call me and knock on my door?
No, technically the IRS will always send you a correspondence mail. They have to inform you by mail, right? So they're not going to call you. I actually had a bad case with a prospective client. They called saying they were going to get arrested and need to put a payment, and they ended up paying $10,000. It's sad to hear those stories. If you think the IRS is going to call you, just call their 1-800 number and at least get that peace of mind that there's a solution for you. But the number one thing is you have to act on those letters. As soon as you start getting those letters, those IRS letters, you need to sit down with someone, because there's timing periods that you need to take in effect. If you get the final notice of intent to levy, then we got 30 days. We can file a CDP. We can file something. We can stop collections, and give you time for you to plan ahead and make sure that what kind of payments you can do now. If you have employment taxes, for instance, you fail to file your W-2, your withholdings, your employees' withholdings, and you have limited money, then you have a business liability, and then you also have a personal liability. So as an accountant, we sit down, we want to make sure we take care of the trust fund, the personal liability, so at least we can just group it all into one category of taxes. The issue we're having with a lot of clients is they don't act on the letters. They wait until the time expires. Now we don't have certain rights anymore. So we have to deal with the revenue office, and they know that we lost those rights. So it's very hard for us. It's not difficult, but it makes it a little harder. And if you're not able to pay, it's based on rules about your ability to pay, what you're able to pay, not what the government wants. So we have to go through the process of doing the right formula, taking the right standard exclusions, and calculating what you're able to pay. Is it true that if you owe $3 million, you settle on $100? If you heard that in the news, it doesn't work that way. No one qualifies. No one. If you qualify for an offer, when people say I want to make an offer, I owe $300,000, I can offer $10,000. Doesn't work that way. We look at your assets, we look at the timing, the statute of collections, and we see if you fit that option. If that option is not available, there's other alternatives: installment agreement, a partial paying agreement, which most cases people are falling into. I'm able to pay out of $3 million, let's say $800 a month. If you can qualify, that's what we can help you provide. But we have to make sure that we disclose those documents. We do all our due diligence in the background. The government has all the information, so we can all coordinate with the same balance. So it's not what they want, it's what you're able to pay. But again, everything lies on responding to those IRS letters. Calling, as soon as you get a letter, give us a call. Give us a call. Let us know where your problem is, because then we have time on your side to properly plan. And I think I see Jessica nodding on that, and I think that's where we usually tell our clients: give us a call, let us know, bring us those letters, let's review. There's a couple. When we take a client, we take on a two-pronged analysis. First, we do our due diligence, discovery period, what's under the IRS books, how far you are in the collection process, are you in the levy process, and who is your revenue officer, see if you have somebody else that we can deal with, and we'll start supplying the information to the government. What you don't want to do is get those letters, lose all your rights, and then be in a different position is most likely more costly for you than starting everything from the beginning.
Así que si le llega la cartita, es el sobre blanco, se ve muy oficial, tiene el símbolo del IRS, creo que todos las hemos visto. No la rompa, no la bote en la basura.
Never give your credit card, never give your personal credit card information. Don't go to your local 7-Eleven, like that's what happened like 4 or 5 years ago. People are getting those credit cards and getting paid. Don't do that. Call us.
They call you. They're very aggressive. They'll call. They've called me actually.
They call me too.
They call me. I'm outside waiting for you. Where are you?
I actually took a phone call, And I was on the line with the person for 25 minutes until he really found out that I'm not going to give you anything.
Yes.
Also, if the IRS knocks on your door, all right, this is number one with Hispanics. Okay, number one with business Hispanic owners. They knock on your door. The IRS brings you your notice of intent to levy. They want money done. They're giving you notice of intent, right? There's a time frame. They're not allowed to ask you for money. It's surprising when I get phone calls from clients that, oh, I just got the IRS. I gave them $25,000. Hopefully that pays. No, you did it wrong. You should have called us because the government has now the liberty to apply that payment to interest and penalties. So you still owe the debt, right? And they just gave you notice. So you have at least 30 days to find representation, understand your liability, get informed, get properly represented, and then if you have some money available, we will gather the areas where you properly can pay. So technically, we'll cover principals, trust fund. So there's a lot of negotiation we can do if you call one of us.
Qué importante, gracias por decirnos eso, que nosotros pensamos que si mandamos ese pago, entonces estamos bajando y de pronto lo único que estamos haciendo es pagando intereses, pero no estamos bajando la deuda. So important to talk to the professionals who know, who can help us and who can really make sure that the money that we are sending is going to actually help us, not just pay interest and help the IRS. We want to help ourselves. I love what you said earlier. We want to pay as low as legally possible within the tax code. And I really appreciate that. Ray, I see your hand up, but I do have a question before yours here on the chat. So I'm going to come back to you after this one. But we got a question on the chat that says, many people today are doing business internationally, virtually. Many are service providers and do not ship products. Can they share how, can you guys share how to be in compliance with US tax law and international rules when we are doing businesses internationally? Javier, I'm gonna let you start this one off because I know you just on a personal level deal a lot with international businesses.
Well, yeah, we have to make sure that international means international, that the income that they are generating is outside of the United States. But if they are located in here in the country, but they are doing virtual work in other places, the income still comes to US. So they will have to file the taxes here. Now, if they are located, I mean, we have other businesses, other investments in other countries where the money is being generated in those countries. So it depends if you're paying your taxes in that other country, okay, then you need to report that income here, but let the government know that you are not, I mean, that you have already paid taxes, so you don't pay double taxation in the United States, okay? So it all depends on what you do. I don't know, Alejandro, you guys say if you guys can add something else.
So there's the tax code has some specificity on how to treat US source money from business generating income here in the US versus foreign source money. And so that's what he's saying. Normally when a business, sometimes you can have a company based here in the US who has a branch or a sub outside of the US. So then in essence, what happens is you still have to file income tax for that sub here in the United States. And there's a deduction or a credit you can take for the portion of the foreign source money and for the foreign source tax that you've already paid, and thus avoiding double taxation on the same money.
Thank you. Ray, go ahead, please unmute and ask your question.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Ray Montalvo. I'm president and CEO of Consolidated Energy Design. I've been in the energy business for 50 years. This is my 50th year now. And I hold 3 patents in an area called smart grid technology. It's a very high level of energy conservation. This is my first time that I've attended this particular group. I am from New Jersey, but we do business in Maryland. And in fact, we're doing the first job of its kind for net zero technology in Maryland. And it'll roll out in about 2 months. And it'll scale. And the thing is that I don't want this to be a commercial. I just want to just ask a couple of questions. That's who I am. That's what I do. But is this a chamber of commerce for Hispanics here in Maryland? Yes. Okay. And so is there a different group of people that speak? Like today we listen to the tax professionals, and then the next time it's maybe another group of professionals. I mean, how does this work?
Let me take that question, if you don't mind. My name is Gigi Guzman, as you can see there.
Oh, yes, I see you.
Yes. The chamber has a complete array of ongoing events. What you are attending right now is the business advocacy and mentorship events, monthly events that we call the BAMs. So we have on the third Friday of each month, we have BAM on Zoom at noon. So that means it's on Zoom and it's at midday, okay? And it goes for 1.5 hours.
And it rhymes, so that's a good thing.
It rhymes, it's kind of, give me a little credit, okay? BAM on Zoom at noon. It's a bit of a joke, but we have the BAM team, and we have also the BAM Damas. The BAM team takes care of all of this that you're seeing. The BAM Damas go to lunch once in a while and have a good time. Okay, and we do invite the gents. Okay, and so we try to put a lot of fun into our serious activities, because a light heart, as you know, wonder. Okay, we also have an energy summit annual, and I'll let Marco, our chair, speak about that. We also have golf outing, and I will also let him do that. We have the Maryland Hispanic Conference, and we can let either Marco or Javier talk about that. I know I'm missing a few, and I forgot. Also, every couple of months, we have a networking event. We have various names for it, and we just keep on going. Oh, we just started the wellness committee. If Dr. Martinez is around, or Claudia or Luis, they
So
can
actually, Gigi, I'm not gonna, I am gonna let Marco introduce himself and briefly say something, but we do want to honor time is 11, it's 1:15 in Maryland, and we only have about 15 minutes left. And
an introduction about those things. We're very active, and we do expect people to join as members, legal members. The minimum is $100. It goes all the way to 20,000 or whatever. I'll let Marco talk about that. But you can get in for very little money. It's an annual membership. $100 these days doesn't break the bank for most businesses. So we would really appreciate you all seriously considering joining our ranks. And you get a lot of perks with that. On that note, I'll let Marco introduce himself. He has been a fantastic force inside the chamber, and we are delighted that he is with us. Very honored.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gigi. I don't think I think you said it all. Have a good night. Just kidding. Yeah. Well, we at the chamber, the main thing that we're trying to do is to make sure that all the Hispanic businesses in Maryland and in the DMV area are, mentor, educated, connected to everything that is happening in the state, and not only the state, but we're getting a lot of national exposure. I just attended the Legislative Energy Summit with the Hispanic in Energy in DC 2 days ago, and it was amazing. So we are being in the map. We are growing like crazy, and for that, we got to make sure that our chamber, being a members organization, we take care of our members. We want to make sure that they have the tools to be able to move up to the next level in their business and be able to connect between organizations. The chamber has been partnering with national organizations like the Federal Reserve Bank, the IRS, non-Hispanics and non-Hispanic companies are joining the chamber because they see the benefit to tap into the Hispanic market, which is one of the fastest growing markets in the country and in Maryland for that matter. So, and the thing is, I mean, even though we are helping the Hispanic community, the Hispanic businesses, we also helping the businesses in general. I mean, we all humans, we all together, we all the same. So we're trying to work together, but we also want to make sure that the Hispanic businesses have a voice as well, and we work with Annapolis to make sure that, we are counted, make sure that if there's any policies that need to be put in a bill or anything, that's what we're working on. A couple of things that I said, when we took over 3 years ago, we restructured the chamber, we brought new members and new board members, and with the partnership of other organizations like the Salvadorian Chamber, the Guatemalan Chamber, the Alliance for Hispanic Contractors, we grew from 89 members to 925 members. So now people are seeing what we're doing. And one of the things that we said in the beginning is that, we don't really want to go in and ask people, can you become a member? Or can you become a member? We want to create these programs so people can see what we do and they can come and say, oh my God, these guys are doing cool stuff. I want to be a member. I want to be part of it. I want to sponsor. Is because we are adding value to our members and non-members for that matter. To have something valuable that they can take and say, I'm really taking advantage of these organizations and my membership. And that's what we're doing. And make sure, bottom line, we mentor, we educate, we connect. And I love every time I talk to, outside this organization about what we're doing with BAM. And I said, we have this BAM program. And it's like, what is that? I said, it's BAM, business advocacy and mentorship. And there's it's powerful. So I just want to thank everybody for coming today. And I hope you learned something today. If you're not a member, take advantage of the membership and attend these meetings. We have a lot going on in 2023. We got a few more MOUs, with other organizations that we're going to partner. We have the Latino network providers. They're going to be signing. We're going to be signing an MOU with them as well. There's 180 members that are going to be part, of under the umbrella of the Maryland Hispanic Chamber. We creating different committees. We started, recruiting county representatives like Chris and Santiago, and so we want to be represented in the entire state. So if there's anything that you think you want to see, please let us know so we can add that to the program. And I don't want to
ask you to put your information so that people can continue this conversation outside of the space, because that's what it's about. It's about connecting in the spaces, but then also making sure that we're carrying outside of, Zoom and really, being active members of our communities. So I do have one more question, one more raised hand, and I want to finish we have about 10 minutes left, and then I want to finish with one quick question from our presenters. But Sandra, yes. I know you have a question, Chris, so go ahead.
Don't forget that we have a poll that we'd like to take. Okay. Yes. All right.
Sandra, go ahead. I see your hand is raised.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I wanted to just ask about the local taxes for Maryland. So I'm originally from Miami. I moved to Maryland a year ago, and things are different from Florida. And I don't know how to pay business taxes for the state of Maryland. Federal taxes, I'm covered because I've been paying them every quarter. I just want to make sure that I'm doing this right, because this is going to be kind of my first year doing this. And I want to be in compliance because the current CPA that I have, he doesn't really help me with the local taxes. So I just really want to know, especially Alejandro, if you help your clients with like local taxes as well.
Well, in Maryland, you pay Maryland taxes, and then when we calculate your estimate taxes, you're paying both Maryland and local taxes. So the best approach is to determine what is your estimated income for the end of the year, calculate your Maryland total tax, and we split it into 4 estimate deposits, so you can cover both Maryland and local. We don't pay local taxes individually, unless, I don't know if you're able to in Maryland, but you just pay your estimate coupons, and you cover both Maryland and local taxes.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you for that. And, you know, we have about 8 minutes left. I do want to ask each one of our presenters today, if there are 3 to 5 key points that you want to make sure our business owners, and you can't repeat, so if somebody says something, you can't repeat that same one. But if there's like 3 to 5 key points that you want our business owners to have in mind for this tax season, right? What would that be? And I'm going to actually go from Mariela, so I'm going to come around the other way this time. So Mariela, let's start with you.
Yes, basically there is a credit, what we call qualified business income. It's so important that you ask your accountant about that credit, because I've been seeing lately that they've been missing claiming that credit on the tax return. So if you are an S corporation, or if you are a pass-through entity, a LLC company, make sure you ask your accountant when you prepare your taxes that if they are applying the qualified business income. Ask as many questions as you want. Don't be afraid to ask. I always tell my clients, ask, because that's the way you will learn too. Our goal is to educate the clients. So it's very important to ask. Don't be afraid. There's not a wrong question. And lastly is basically make sure that you ask the questions of credentials. That's very important, because at the end of the story, when you sign the return, you are responsible. But if you have a person behind that will help you to represent if you get into an issue with the IRS with the tax return, that person will be able to represent you before the government.
Thank you. Very important. Javier, what are your 3 points that you want you know, businesses to keep in mind as they are getting ready to do their taxes for this year?
First, as a business owner, please focus on your business. Let the professionals handle your stuff. You need your accountant and you need your attorney. Those are the 2 key professionals that you need to build a very close relationship with. You've seen here, honestly, I'm really impressed with Alejandro, the way how he has explained so many things, Yoscaisa and Mariela. I mean, you got people right here that you can call and they can be part of your team. You could be alone in your business, but your team, it's these professionals that you will save money, you will save time, and you will save headaches, letting them do what they know how to do. You just focus on your business, okay? Then read. The books that you read will determine your future, okay? So where are you gonna be in 5 years? So it all depends what you're reading. I didn't see this, I haven't read that book, Yoscaisa, and I already ordered it. But you got a bunch of great books for entrepreneurs. You have the E-Myth revised. You have the 4 disciplines of execution. You have so many great books that will change your mentality, okay? And you need to start focusing on those books. And last thing, and I guess is the most important, become part of the chamber, because that's the only way that you could get all these resources. You call anybody in the chamber and say, listen, I need a really good attorney, I need accounting. They have all these resources, and the best thing is that they are Latinos like you. They will understand, okay? That's it.
Thank you, Javier. I'm not sure if everybody's seeing this, but there's a poll that we're asking everybody to just complete as we are getting ready to wrap our
Right now, we have the
app.
poll.
So there should be a poll that showed up.
I just signed up as a member.
So thank you, Marco. We appreciate that.
Me too, me too.
A couple of things while we do the poll here. I did put in the combined registration for Maryland in case any of the presenters want to talk about that. And also, while we wait, I wanted to introduce a few more people.
Hold on, Alejandro and Yoscaisa still need to give us their
I apologize.
Yep, no worries. So Alejandro, we'll go with you. What are the key points that you want business owners to know as they are getting ready for tax season?
Well, the last 2.5 years, we've seen a lot of changes, and we've seen also the opportunity that those businesses who have been in compliance, who follow they've done their taxes, done their payroll, were able to benefit, such as the PPP program. So it's important that you get yourself back into established business structure, because if there's an opportunity in the future for you to take advantage of these opportunities, financial opportunities, you at least have your information in compliance. Number one, so get as soon as possible, talk to an attorney, get your business established, start getting your QuickBooks running. And my battery is about to die. Can I come back? My battery to plug in my phone. My battery's about. I'll come back in a second. I got one important.
Okay. So we'll hold on. We'll wait for you. So Yoscaisa, why don't you go ahead?
I was because he was taking my points. All right. So my first point was literally what he said, legal aspect of your business, to make sure that you are covered legally for the business that you engage in. So, let's look at formation, how you formed your business, and let's revisit that and see what you're doing now as to compare to what you were doing before. And, if some changes are needed to your business structure, or if, you're venturing to other things. And then the second thing will be ask questions of your tax person or your tax professional or your accountant, CPA, whoever it may be. Review, don't just sign, oh, my CPA did it, everything is right. We're people. We also too make mistakes, and it's your duty that you understand what's on the document, that you are comfortable with what's on the document, that it makes sense to you. And as a tax professional, you hire us to represent your best interest, and it's important that you understand what's on paper and what you're signing. And then my third thing is a plan and spend time with your money every month, and have a plan for where you want to grow your business. And it comes from, having these tax professionals in your corner to advise you and to look out for your interest.
Thank you. So we're still waiting for Alejandro. So Gigi, I guess this would be a good time. I know you said you wanted
exactly. I did put that link in there in case one of you presenters want to talk about the combined registration that Maryland businesses have to do, and also the personal. It's called personal. What is it called? Personal something or other that you have to pay through SDAT for being registered as a business in the state of Maryland.
Personal property
tax. Yeah.
Thank you. Personal property. That's what it is. It's very important, because that way your business is flagged as in good standing. Without that, you have a difficult time doing a lot of things in the state of Maryland. If you want to bid on certain proposals and things like that, they're always asking for this the certificate in good standing. And before I finish talking here, I want to introduce a few people. Patricia is on my screen here. Sila she chairs the Western region. Let's see, Virginia is there. She's part of our accounting team. So is Ana Gonzalez is our treasurer. I'm scanning around. Dr. Martinez chairs the wellness. Oh, by the way, wellness is coming on the 9th of March. Last time we had a blast. It was fantastic. We learned all these de-stressing techniques. It was great. It was really great. Great information. I really think you ought to give it a try. It's going to be from 7 to 8 on the second Thursday, the 9th, okay? So I like promoting our events because they're really excellent.
Absolutely.
So on
And
that note, I know we had several other people that play a very significant role, and now I don't see them on my screen.
Right, we did have a good representation of the Maryland Hispanic Chamber and some of our BAM members as well. But Alejandro, we're gonna close with you. It's 1:32, so I know you said one really important thing. So why don't you go ahead?
Yes, the employee retention credit for all those who have payroll and they employ individuals during 2020 and 21. This is up to $26,000 if you qualify. As long as you don't double dip during the time that you receive your PPP, you can ask the credit. It's important that you keep in track. There's money available. We still can help you with this, but be careful with requesting the credit without doing the proper due diligence. You might get in trouble by getting the PPP and then requesting the credit. So we want to make sure that if you've done payroll in 2020 and 21, and there's 2 or 3 quarters that you did not you did not get the PPP advantage during those quarters, we can do the analysis, and if you qualify, and we make sure that we do all our due diligence, that you can get up to $26,000, and this time is about to pass. So it's very important for you to contact. If you have an accountant, give them a call. The employee retention credit. I know we have a client right here just looking at me right now. It's like we're working on your case coming up soon, because there's several hundreds of thousands of dollars for this particular client that is coming up. So it's very important. If you let the statute of limitation pass on these 941s, that money is gone. That money is gone. All right. So the employee retention credit is something that you can benefit if you held employment during the time, the 2020 COVID and 2021. So talk to your accountant regarding this. Don't lose that opportunity.
So yeah, absolutely. What we've heard today, what we've learned today is that it's really important to have the right team, that we don't want to wait until the last minute to think about taxes, that this should be, as Yoscaisa said it best, an ongoing relationship, something that we're doing on a regular basis. Meet with your money once a month. I love that. I really absolutely love that. So thank you all of our presenters for sharing great information. On the chat, you have contact information for all of them. And for everybody else here, I encourage everyone to continue the conversation outside of here. Make an appointment, make that phone call today. Yoscaisa, Alejandro, Javier, and Mariela are here for you and are ready to help you and guide you in the right way. If you haven't yet, please don't forget to answer the questions on the poll, and visit us, connect with us on Facebook, on social media, on our website, Maryland Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.org. And without really further ado, just thank you all for being here. We will see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend.